I thought I would play a movement, just the opening of a movement that's really special to me. And it's special because of one chord. I just like, I think I might have learned about this in music theory somewhere, but I never really got it until I was an adult, just reading through this piece and just feeling it out for myself. That can be so important to like recontextualize the music after you've escaped your training, So this is the opening of the second movement of Beethoven's Appassionata Sonata. It's a theme in variations. I'm just going to play the theme. Beautiful chorale in the low register of the piano. And whenever Beethoven writes in a kind of chorale setting, I feel like it's entering a more spiritual place. It's kind of like a hearkening back to Bach chorales, to the Baroque era, or beyond that to Renaissance. And there's just something sacred about that, just contextually, and also, I don't know, in your body. Just feeling a four-voiced chorale is automatically satisfying. What is that?
It's like a reminder, like, oh yeah, there might be something bigger than us,
Yes. Yeah. And when we come together and we unify in our voices is when we're strongest. Like when we have a beautiful melody on top with accompaniment, that's one thing. That's expressing the soul, the individual, the personal. But when the voices come together, moving all together at the same time, it's like this, phalanx.
It's why choirs are always like used to add emotion.
Yeah.
Like anytime there's a pop singer doing a big show and then they bring in a choir to sort of sing they sing the chorus one time around as a choir.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, like it's so cheesy, but it just always pulls at you.
Expands. Yeah.
Yeah. But Beethoven, his chorale use is always very spiritual. Like I'm thinking of the Heiliger Dankgesang movement of Opus 132 string quartet, which is a super slowed down chorale. Like it's almost imperceivable that it's a chorale because it's so slow. But if you play it sped up, you realize it is just this beautiful chorale going through. And he also has the intense voice spacing like he does in this movement.
I was thinking also I love the slow movement of the Emperor Concerto, which the piano doesn't have this, but the orchestra has it right away, where all the voices are moving together in a kind of hymn, I just want to finish this phrase because it's so beautiful. What an intro for the piano to finally enter, etc. But that is just, yeah, he sets up the movement with a chorale or with a hymn, with something that is making everything stand still for the piano, and it's like setting up the tone before the piano gets to sing in a very spiritual and personal way.
Yeah, I'm just always, not always, but often so much more moved by that opening section you played rather than the one voice coming in and what's this like the singular character struggle is just a lot less emotional for me than this sort of recognition of just like we are all like connected.
That's
cheesy,
what moves me most too.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love I'm immediately getting off of Beethoven here, but Schubert, so much of Schubert's music is this kind of texture when he goes to those intimate places. It's not, he has unbelievable songs. That's the irony of it. He's the lieder master. He created.
Give us the meaning of lieder.
Lieder is song. Lied is the German word for song.
Lied, right?
Lied. Lieder.
Okay. Lieder.
Lieder. And
so he has a lot of these song cycles that are for like tenor and piano.
Schubert was kind of the originator of the song cycle. Okay. The idea that, I guess Beethoven had one or two technically that people don't do too much, but
how bad does it feel if someone refers to you having a certain work of art technically?
Ouch. Well, Beethoven's got a lot of good things
Daniel
going.
Has a podcast technically.
That's how I would describe it. We technically have a podcast. If you'd like to check it out. Hey, I do these videos. Isabel's got stand up, and we technically have a podcast. We're not really talking about it very much yet. We'll see what happens. We'll see whether we have chemistry and whether that chemistry leads into something organically fulfilling for people. But right now we're in the technically stage of the podcast.
Definitely the technically.
But anyway, Schubert can do that beautiful song stuff, like Winterreise. All the beautiful song cycles he has where there's a narrative from beginning to end and all these songs are connected in some way by a story. But then he can also go into this realm. Which is also a song, but because of the unified voices and harmonic rhythm, it also feels like a chorale, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It has a melody, but right here. So tender and so it's not so sacred, right? Because I think the personality of that voice on top makes it a little more human,
a little more tender,
religious.
A little less sacred.
Yeah, a little less sacred.
But when it comes back around, much like in the Appassionata, you said there's one chord you love. Isn't there another chord we have to get to in this?
Well, for one thing, the chord we did get to toward the end of the phrase, I find really beautiful. And a lot of this, I'll connect it back to the Appassionata right now in a way, because I think the really deep stuff, the stuff where you're like, oh, my heart is breaking there in that moment, I think that occurs when form and harmony meet each other in a really expressive and beautiful way. You cannot not think about the form and structure of what you're doing in music, partly because it's a temporal art. It's just always going. So it's kind of like for a painting, you're thinking about all this geometry of how things are in space and time, right? Not so much time.
Mm-hmm.
For music, time is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. It's like what happened before and how it relates to what's happening in the future sets up a feeling. And composers are super aware of that. And that is what form and structure are in music. So here, there's not much going on. It's very beautiful. It's pianissimo. but harmonically, nothing interesting is really happening. We're in A flat. We're just doing normal A flat stuff. We're setting up this emphasis on beat 2, which is nice, has a lilt. There we have a little emphasis on beat 3. Now we just do the same thing an octave higher. Nothing that special. But we've been waiting for this chord here. And then we'll cadence. But that chord is a move outside the key that we haven't gotten this whole time. We've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, like 12 measures or something. And
is that the chord I was referring to, or am I imagining another?
Oh, there's more. There's more later, but we don't have to
Okay.
fully analyze this one. I mean, that to me is a very special chord, where
Oh yeah.
that's very Schubert. That's very like bittersweet remembering of something, and then letting go. Where it's only momentary. I'm not gonna get stuck in that like Wagner. I'm just gonna like, isn't that beautiful, that pain? Isn't that part of what it means to be human, to feel a little nostalgia and bitterness or bittersweetness? And then we have to keep going.
It's a chromatic motion in there, right? Like da, 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 da. Is that
What the chromaticism is in the inner voices.
Yeah.
So without that inner voice, it's actually totally
Works,
normal.
but yeah.
It works. But it's that note, that E flat, that's crawling up to an E natural.
that chromatic motion?
Yeah, like you said, the chromatic note. And Schubert loves these chromatic changes that are very subtle but open up a whole new emotional realm. I mean, he does this like all the time in his music. This is in the key of A flat minor, but when it comes back later, it comes back in the parallel key of A flat major, and all he needed to change there was that the third was raised by a half step. So he has a real subtle, sophisticated notion of how to make you feel something internally rather than try to pull you into the emotion like in a blunt way.
Well, he's literally having the stuff happen internally in the chord.
Inside, in the inner voices. It's not the bass leading us there, although sometimes he does that. It's not the top leading us there. It's rarely the top. It's usually the harmony and the inner voices that are leading the way. Let's get back to the Appassionata.
I think I can guess what your favorite chord is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me play it one more time, at least the first 8 bars, and see if our listeners can guess.
Should I
And then
be
you can
like,
tell me. Yeah,
No.
make a face.
no.
All right, one sec. Play it again.
Again, it's that there's a chromatic. Is it a chromatic passing tone? Is that what it is?
So what it is this is toward the end of the phrase where he moves down to this augmented 6 chord, but it's how it resolves that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because normally you might go to this or something, or you might do that, but this G goes down to that.
So it retroactively makes the previous note a chromatic passing tone. No, I don't know why
Sorry,
I'm stuck on
just
this.
Like,
Are you crying?
I'm trying not to cry because this is what happens every single time when
I'm like, is it a passing tone? And
yeah,
you're like,
Isabel, I don't give a shit if it's a passing tone or not. I mean, it's nice to explain this stuff, and it's nice to try to put your head around it conceptually so that you can explain what's so meaningful and beautiful about it. And also sometimes it's nice to just let it hit you. But for me, why it's so beautiful is I guess I like to imagine that choice to resolve it in that unusual way is a choice. He could have done this. He could have done this like, you know, or he could have done, I don't know, he could have done any number of different predominant chords to get there. But instead, he chooses this one that's like a stab to the heart. And then, like, I feel that as such deep acceptance. I think it's because it's lowering that it's like, no, we're not going to go there. You know, like I'm not going to give you what you think you want. I'm going to pull you a little deeper into a more raw and real place. That is like when we go to that place, we let go of concept. We let go of trying to understand. And it's just a release and, I don't know, an acceptance of the reality of things when we have the right perspective. It's so hard to put that into words. But that chord just really, really moves me. And then almost like the Schubert, it's like, okay, well, we got to move on.
Yeah.
And life goes on.
Yep.
And so here's the second part of the theme. We got to keep going. And it's a little more hopeful, maybe. There's a little more motion in this, you know? More individualism here. He's reaching higher. A crescendo. Talk about, you know, Emperor Concerto, nobility. There's something noble in that. And this is actually a set of variations. So we have that first theme, and the variations unfold very organically, very gently. It's like he starts off, I can't play this whole thing, but so it's almost like he's immediately dissecting or like picking apart the very simple harmony in a very natural way. He's letting it unfold. I think he has a lot of patience. Ironically, we think of Beethoven as impetuous, but with movements like these, he has incredible patience. It reminds me of the third movement of Opus 109, the famous late piano sonata in E major, which the third movement also is a theme in variations that has this really beautiful, profound kind of chorale. But it's really kind of like more like a little folk song that's accompanied by this harmony, very intimate. Beethoven totally overdoes the markings here. He says you got to play this as expressively as possible and beautifully as possible with all this singing. It can really tie people up in knots because you're trying to capture this sacred quality of this really simple theme. And then he's not in a hurry when he starts the variations. It's like a little aria. And then, just like the Appassionata, he kind of breaks it down a little. It's almost like suddenly
Sounds
pointillistic.
really modern.
It's very modern. It's because almost like Webern.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way I'm playing it too, but
It feels like Beethoven had a lot more textural exploration in his music than a lot of his contemporaries. Like I'm not saying his music necessarily was like, oh, it's really just experimental, but there are elements of it that are like quirky, even just the spacing in his voicing and then something like that. And you do just wonder how much of it was because of his hearing loss too.
yeah.
And him just almost having less of a limitation or just searching for things that he could still sort of feel the resonance of, you know?
Like texture plays more of a role in his mind, maybe in part because he's searching for different timbres in a way that someone who could clearly hear doesn't have the need or urge to do. That makes sense to me. I mean, especially like if you're playing these low registers and it's like vibrating in a certain way, maybe that's what partly drove him to write in those dark registers. Could be. And he was just exploring and as an innovator, as a revolutionary, he was constantly trying to push the instrument to its limits and see what music he could squeeze out of different ranges of the instrument.
Yeah.
Right. He did not care whether it was hard. Let's just say that. He didn't care whether you had to be flying around the piano, going to this range and that range, reading all these ledger lines like Beethoven.
You say he doesn't care just because clearly he kept doing that? Is that what
he just from everything I just have read about him and stuff, it's that he put the music first before the human being who's trying to play the music. Whereas some other composers will, especially from his day or before, would tailor the music a little bit, adjust the music because, well, hey, Beethoven, this isn't in my range to sing, or, I don't know, this is just, I don't have time to practice this. Can you make an easy piece for me? He wasn't interested in composing for you, for the convenience of you. He's just interested in expressing whatever's in him, and he could kind of care less if you're able to play it. Okay, well, I'll find someone else who can, or I'll play it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to also bring up the opening of the first movement of the Appassionata, because unlike the second movement, which is so serene, it's such a break, the first movement is full of anxiety, and it's that classic Beethoven that we come to know throughout his heroic period. I mean, this is Opus 57.
What's the heroic period? Is that an actual period?
Did I say heroic period? I usually think of the middle period as a period. Why did I say heroic? Maybe I think of the Eroica Symphony.
Does that mean heroic? Eroica?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like an expression of heroicism.
Okay.
But I think. But he, I don't know.
Yawn.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel. You ask a question and then get bored by the answer. That's a good way to interview.
So what inspires you?
Oh, it's contagious. So, but in this middle period anyway, where I do think of him as, in his pieces tend to start in this like anxious state of turbulence and then end with a heroic triumph. Maybe that's why I say heroic period. But the Appassionata starts this way. Oh, I'm starting in the wrong range. I'm giving Beethoven. I did Beethoven a favor.
Yeah.
My right hand started an octave lower. But this is way more powerful because the space between the voices. This is something like Shostakovich.
Oh, because it's 2 octaves between them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
It is like Shostakovich.
Shostakovich will be like, he'll have a melody like, he'll
right.
have everything in unison in the higher register, but an octave apart or 2 octaves apart to give that. Whoa, it's like somehow more it's not as unified. It's clearly 2 individual voices just struggling to do the same thing. And here, He's a master of using those rests, right? Those dramatic rests. And then he's like, you know what? Let's start the piece over, but half a step higher. Just another question. There's a little hint of Beethoven's Fifth. Whoops. Sorry, let me try. So much expectation and intensity. This is such a way to start a sonata, you know? And then I can't even play this part. I haven't practiced it, but it explodes. I'm just going to generically play a C7. And then it's kind of like the piece truly begins. You know, with this huge F minor eruption. So there's all this dynamic, extreme dynamic contrast, and he's covering the whole range of the piano. So there's drama right away in this F minor work by Beethoven. I want to say one other thing about this unison thing is a thing. Like, composers do that.
I was going to ask, is that very radical in terms of the times employing unison like that?
I don't think it's very radical. I think it's a symbol of like an orchestral kind of feeling when composers I'm trying to think. Even very early, Opus 1, number 3, his piano trio in C minor.
Oh, yeah, right.
I mean, all of that is violin, cello, and piano playing in unison. And I think what it does really well is it leaves you wondering, first of all, what harmony are we in? I mean, it is implying, with this is implying C minor, but it's not like going...
Right. Even Mozart in a dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
The piano quartet.
Oh shoot, let me pull it up really
in
quick.
G.
Yeah, I played it a long time ago, but
all the instruments are playing in unison for that opening.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, violin, viola, cello. The piano quartet. Yeah, good call. Mozart. And then there's this like little interruption. And then they come back together. So maybe it's a kind of symbol of drama, you know, traditionally.
Yeah.
But composers throughout time will use this. I mean...
Ooh, I just thought of another one. Beethoven, Opus 95 String Quartet.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Beethoven does it kind of a lot,
he does it a lot.
Because he just wants to grab your
Party
attention
trick.
right away. Yeah, party trick. It's this sleazy... Like, Beethoven will use this one simple trick. Composers hate him. Starting in unison. Gets him every time. But Brahms will take this and run with it. And that's why you have your viola, right?
Oh, yeah, we can...
Yeah,
but the unison part's not the viola. The part
No. I just thought of that. But the fact we were thinking that, okay, F minor Appassionata, Beethoven, what other works are in F minor that have that similar character? And especially by someone like Brahms, who revered Beethoven. And then immediately, I mean, you're a violist, so you know this piece really well. You mentioned the F minor viola sonata.
Well, it's a clarinet sonata originally.
Right.
And then violists, arguably, I think it's...
I thought he arranged it also for viola.
Yes, Brahms allegedly arranged... I heard, someone told me that, like, actually he didn't, but that might be wrong. But the common knowledge is that Brahms did the viola arrangements as well, but it was originally written for a clarinetist.
It was definitely originally written for clarinet.
Yeah, but a viola and a clarinet share a voice, so violists can play clarinet music pretty easily.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
They share the same register.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I mean by register, yeah.
Yeah, they're both alto instruments, I guess.
Yes, but the fun thing about the Brahms connection and the Appassionata is, one, it starts in unison, and then when the viola comes in, the first 3 notes are the same 3 notes as the beginning of the Appassionata. Yeah. You want to play some of it?
Let's do it.
Just the beginning.
I also just, before we leave the unison thing, I want to mention, like, this is not like just a classical thing. I mean, yeah, like Brahms, we'll start pieces just as you'll hear in unisons, but whenever I think of unison, I think of Messiaen, Olivier Messiaen's Quartet for the End of Time.
Oh, the entire unison movement.
The 6th movement is entirely in unison. That's for a totally different purpose and effect, but every instrument is playing.
How many instruments? 4.
4. Clarinet, violin, cello, piano. So I mean, if you want to really go wild,
that's like, how long of a movement is that?
It's a significant, maybe like 7 minutes or something.
Right, it's not just an opening; it's like a whole movement,
it's a whole
in unison.
And the reason he uses that technique is because this is like a fanfare of trumpets signaling the end of the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the intensity of unisons squeezed to its maximum potential, and like, hey, maybe it all starts with Beethoven or Mozart, but this concept is it's fascinating when you see these concepts that seem just fundamental to music that are then discovered and rediscovered and used by other composers for different reasons. It makes you feel like things are kind of connected, even if they're not obviously connected.
Right.
I mean, anyway, should we give them a little taste of the Brahms?
Yeah, I feel stupid about the clarinet viola arrangements thing, but I swear because everyone says Brahms did these arrangements to make them for viola.
Heard.
No, that's what I heard too. And then I had one masterclass. Can't remember who. This guy was like, "No, there's like a letter from Brahms saying like, I hate these arrangements."
Oh, yes, the famous letter.
Yeah, it's always a letter. Anyway, I don't know. If you're a historian, you can look it up. You can comment.
The secret letter. All right, exciting. Isabel's got her viola on her. Let's play some Brahms.
Regrettably.
Yeah? No.
And then we'll talk about the connections between the Appassionata Sonata,
and
this Brahms F minor Sonata.
All right, let's do it. Beginning with unisons. Stop there.
Definitely better. The opening is better on clarinet. All those awkward leaps are so hard. I mean, violists will do like crazy fingerings to avoid the string crossings, but I can't.
Really?
Like.
Yeah.
Instead of. But I just think it's so goofy, and I like the anytime I can be in. Anytime I can be in like first or third position, I just also think it sounds better. It's not just that it's kind of easier. But
yeah. Well, go ahead.
I mean, you can do it, but on a clarinet, there's no string crossing, so it makes sense that this was originally written for a clarinet.
Well, there's what you miss in the clarinet though is
the effort between notes.
Well, that
a lot of times I hear a clarinet play this piece, and it's just like
it's easier.
It's
like you're pushing buttons a little bit.
Yeah,
like you're playing the recorder.
Totally.
But yeah, and I do like it when clarinetists add even a little vibrato to this kind of stuff because I mean I know it's whatever.
It's so funny that clarinet is one instrument where if you add vibrato, everyone's like, "Okay, Benny Goodman."
Yeah, that's true. But like it needs or it. I think this music can withstand the kind of vibrato that you're putting on the viola. I mean, like, what you get to do with the viola that they can't do as well, maybe, or naturally, is vibrate. You know, you've studied your whole life on how to vibrate tastefully, and that leads to a more singing quality. The clarinet is naturally like a lyrical instrument, just because it's a wind instrument, and the tone and stuff, and how one note leads into the other in a really legato, beautiful way. But you get to sing with your finger more. You get that tactile expression that they don't have.
Right. So connections between the two pieces. One we just noticed in the score is the tempo marking
tempo
is Allegro Appassionato. Probably just a coincidence.
Well, yeah, never know with Brahms. Brahms has these expressive tempo markings sometimes, you know, where it's not just Allegro, you know, but it's Allegro Amabile or something, or Allegro Appassionato.
Ma non troppo. But not too much.
No, not too much.
Does he ever just mark things Allegro?
Yeah, I think he does. I can't think of any top of my head, but especially early on, I think Allegro con brio was like, you know.
That's not just Allegro.
I guess that is, but Beethoven wrote that.
Oh.
I guess he plays around with the expression of tempo markings a little bit more than the average person. And I mean, it doesn't feel Allegro. Maybe I'm not playing it fast enough, but I think because he's not starting right away with eighth notes or with 16th notes or with fast moving notes, there is a little bit of reservation at the opening. Not to mention the dynamic marking is poco forte, a little forte, or like somewhat forte. Like, don't be too forte. So let's not get too strong too soon. Whoops.
Oh, God.
We'll try again. Hang on. That is so Brahms, by the way, to just like, as soon as he gives you this big, he gives you this big, you know, this like big explosion of the dominant. Like, okay, now we're really getting somewhere. And then it's just like, never mind. It's kind of like, it kind of fades into this like uncertainty that is so prevalent in his heart a lot of the time, at least based on his music. He often ends pieces, like the fourth movement is like quite unsatisfying a lot of the time, where it's like this meandering movement of like the last movement of the C minor piano quartet, which is one of his most epic and dramatic pieces, but it ends with this movement that's kind of like searching and trying to find itself. It's like, dude, give us like a satisfying conclusion. And so he kind of fades away here. And then he's like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be Allegro Appassionato. So it's like finally we get these. I messed up too.
Also, we should note that you're playing off music and I'm playing from memory, which feels like a flawed way to do this, because you're consulting all of the markings, and like, because I have the notes memorized, I don't have the markings. Like,
you don't have the markings memorized.
No.
Well, but you've played this piece, I assume. Yeah. See, I don't memorize anything anymore, dude. It's just.
Well, when I perform this in recital with a pianist, I play off the music as well, because a sonata to me is a real chamber piece. So we should be on even playing field. And generally when you're playing chamber music, everyone's reading off of the music. But if I'm playing like a concerto, but with piano accompaniment, I might play the concerto from memory, because it's a little bit, the solo instrument of the concerto is at on a higher level musically than the orchestra part, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's intentionally given a real spotlight.
Yeah.
Whereas a duo, I've played plenty of times with people who are super memorized and super in their own part, and don't have maybe the curiosity of like, hey, what's going on there? Or, oh, I can see what you have in your part there. Let me try to match you. Or maybe this is dialogue between the two of us. And instead they're like, it's obvious they just want me to lay down the part. And those chamber experiences are just not as interesting to me at all, because I'm not interested in delivering a perfect performance of a piece with other people. I'm interested in the conversation that arises in the process. Hey, let's figure this out. Let's figure that out. Why do you feel that way? And then the result of that dialogue is the best expression possible. Not you come in with your idea, I'll come in with my idea. Let's try to perfect it somehow.
Well, I this is why I really hate rehearsing in general. I mean,
we didn't rehearse this.
We didn't. But obviously when you're a child or when you're learning, you need to rehearse. But with two people who come in prepared with their own parts, and they have the music in front of them, sure, you want to play through it a few times, get settled in, but the rehearsal where you're like, hey, I feel like I'm not feeling your, I don't, and to me, it's, if you're not feeling it, it's because one of you just isn't doing your job, and talking about it isn't going to fix much. It might. But to me, it should be able to be an in-the-moment dialogue. You can practice having the dialogue a couple times, but if it's not already there, if you're not already able to listen and react in real time.
I take, if I'm working with someone, I'm taking you at face value with the way you're playing.
Yeah.
So in other words, okay, you let's say you started off, let's say at a different tempo than me or something, then I'm going to go with that. I'm going to be like, oh, she knows what she wants, because I'm going to assume that. I'm going to have trust. You know what you want. Now, let me meet you there. You're trying to tell me something. You're trying to say, hey, I don't like your tempo. I like this tempo. And I'll say, let's try that.
Yeah.
And you have that whole back and forth just by listening.
Yes.
So and let's say I'm trying to say to you, okay, yeah, that's a good tempo, but can we try this other tempo maybe? I can also suggest that by playing a little bit faster and trusting you're listening to me too. You're listening to me kind of poke you and say, Isabel, I dig your tempo, but can we do it a little bit faster or something like that?
Yeah.
And then if you don't get that memo and we're kind of off from each other, and then we stop and it's it's just not right, then it's well, let's talk about it. That means the listening wasn't happening closely enough, and now words are required, which happens, dude.
It happens. It's not like, never say anything, but you find yourself in rehearsals with those people who are constantly stopping and constantly asking. And those are always the ones who are I find not the best listeners. Because I want to be, or not the best showers of their intention. Because either it's well, I'm showing you what I'm doing, or I'm not getting anything from you to react off of. Yeah. So now we have to stop and discuss every measure and try to make a plan.
Yes.
And then in the moment, the plan doesn't happen anyway, because no one's doing that great of a job.
It's don't even bother writing this in, because I'm probably going to change it next time anyway.
Just
be
lock
open
into the energy.
Yeah.
And
there's also those people who maybe they do hear everything, but they don't have the patience or the empathy to be we're not playing well right now together, and that's okay. Let's see what happens in the next section. Let's see what happens in the next section. Let's see if we can find each other over the course of the next 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And that can be really beautiful too. So you have to have an openness. You really do have to be a receiver as much or more as a giver when you're playing chamber music. That's why I love it. I'm just you get to be an observer and a kind of subtle actor rather than a leader. I feel very uncomfortable. I would feel super uncomfortable being a conductor.
Yeah, I have never had the desire to be a conductor. Do you want to do some of the second movement just because it's so beautiful?
I was going to suggest that.
We didn't play through this at all, but we'll see if it works.
So pretty.
This is the second movement of the Brahms F minor Sonata for
it's worth just hearing the opening, especially if you've never heard it. And as with all these pieces that we play, it's like really encourage you to go listen to the full versions. And maybe there's some recording you want to suggest later, but
I have no suggestions.
perfect. We can stop there.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
So pretty. And that
Yeah.
one does work really well, I think, on clarinet.
Yeah.
Because they can enter a kind of sound and like in a stable way that is like still, if they have really, really good breath control.
Right. Well, violists can also do that if they're better.
No.
Players.
No. It's nothing to do with that. I think it's a different.
What I like
kind of
about
song.
clarinetists.
I'm like, wow, your playing reminded me of how good it sounds on the clarinet for really obvious reasons.
Okay.
No, dude, it's a different kind of song,
Yeah.
like on the different instruments. And so
Totally.
like I find that really interesting. Anyway, please play with me more.
Really?
You don't play that much viola anymore. You're always doing stand up, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Well,
what you do.
Play a lot of viola in my stand-up, actually. Like, I am playing a fair amount still.
You are?
Yeah, I'm just not preparing recitals or playing like full programs with ensembles.
Yeah.
I'm jumping in here or there or playing for my own comedic reasons.
Does it ever, I was wondering if it ever gets tiring to play the same like excerpts in your stand up sets and stuff.
No,
Like
not
your
yet,
Bach.
because it's just a relief to play something I'm comfortable playing. I have so much anxiety around playing.
Really?
Like, I mean, even just now playing that slow movement, I was really nervous just
Really?
now. I was like, don't mess up. Like, I was really in my head.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I've distanced myself a little from like just being a musician, is because I have so many demons around it, and it's just not the most fun thing for me to do a lot of the time. But in stand up, playing something I know I can nail, and I'm leading towards like a laugh and joy, and it's like the most therapeutic way to approach the instrument for me. So I'm sure, I mean, I get sick sometimes, sick of something. I get sick sometimes.
A lot.
I'm very sick right now in the head. I get sick of
If
things
only
and
they
I'll
knew.
swap them out. I was sobbing.
Earlier
Well,
today.
Also, doing this podcast and in general, I can't listen to too much classical music sometimes because I get really sad, because it reminds me of like how much of a role it used to play in my life, because I do really love it. It's just certain circumstances of pursuing the life of a professional performer of classical music that just I don't think is sustainable for me. But because of that, I have sort of given up a life of like, there's just less music in my life.
Yeah.
And it's so connected to like my family and where I came from, and so much emotion and love for me that sometimes I hear pieces and I'm like, oh, damn, like music is really good and powerful.
The field did a number on you.
Yeah. And I wish I didn't push it away so much, but whatever.
We'll figure it out. By episode 100.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you to feel differently about it.
By episode 100, I'd be like, I just can't figure out a healthy way to get it in my life.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, maybe we should stop the podcast.
Every episode,
working.
I just start crying more and more.
I'm like, dude, I'm trying my best here. I'm trying to sell this stuff. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, check out some Beethoven, check out some Brahms, check out some classical music, and
slow movement of Opus 132, Beethoven String Quartet, the Heiliger Dankesong. That's one of the chorale movements we mentioned, but we did not play. If you want to go listen to that.
Start there, then make your way to Opus 109, Beethoven. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.